Each place in America has its own distinct sound, its own musical voice. Go where the music takes you with Expedia. It's everything you need to go.
When I grow up, I want to make my own songs.
A single note can inspire dreams.
I would like to play a tuba. I want to hear beats all around my life. I like to play drums. I play the guitar. Music makes me feel joyful.
America. People came here from many places, each bringing a different note.
Hello, world. It's nice to meet you. I've been waiting for this moment to come my whole life.
When all of these notes collided, they exploded with creative energy.
It's time for us to come together and make the future right.
This fusion of cultures sparked a surge of creative freedom. Freedom to dance.
I had an epiphany one night, looking at the endless star-filled sky.
Freedom to try anything.
The world is ours. The world is ours.
When people were free to take risks, music had room to grow. Here, we could each sing our own song in our own voice.
7 billion stars. The world is ours. Hello, world. The sun is rising.
America's cultural diversity has shaped all our songwriters, including Aloe Black, who grew up near Los Angeles.
Hello, world. Undivided. Don't matter if you win or lose, it's how you play the game. I had an epiphany one night, looking at the endless star-filled sky.
Aloe's parents moved here from Panama and brought their music with them.
I started recording when I was 15 years old, and we were making hip-hop music. And as we were sampling, I was being educated on these forms of music, like jazz and classical rock and folk. And today, I weave a lot of different styles of American music into the songs I write.
I'm hanging out now with an artist from Los Angeles.
I met Maya on her music talk show in Australia, and I'll never forget that moment.
Aloe Black.
The world is ours.
And today she's my wife, and we have 2 beautiful children. Maya's a rapper and a songwriter, and we just love the way that music brings us closer. Tomorrow I'm leaving on tour. Being away from Maya and the kids is the hardest thing I do. But going on tour is a great chance for me to learn new musical styles for my next album. Each city I go to has its own musical personality.
Aloe's tour kicked off in New York City, the melting pot of American music.
I want to soak up all the different historical styles of American music and weave it all into my next album. New York became really important to me at about age 15, mainly because of hip-hop. Back in the 80s, a lot of kids didn't have money for instruments, so turntables became their instruments. And that's how hip-hop was born. And now everybody's listening to hip-hop. I mean, it's even re-energizing the Broadway musical.
Hip-hop was revolutionary. A century ago in New York, Harlem was swinging with another brand new musical revolution, jazz. As the pioneer of jazz, Louis Armstrong was a driving force who reshaped music in the 20th century.
No, no, they can't take that away from me. No, they can't take that away.
Armstrong became an American icon, beloved by millions around the world.
He's definitely one of my heroes. He lived in this New York house for 28 years. And now it's a museum.
When I finish this arm wrestling, I'm gonna teach you guys a little song from Louis Armstrong. Oh, he won. He's got a strong arm like Louis.
I work out.
Louis Armstrong is one of my favorites.
Louis Armstrong loved telling stories to kids. When he sang, he opened our eyes to the joy of simple things.
I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
That was my christening song.
That was your christening song? It's a beautiful
Can you
song.
sing us
And
more?
that's one of the
This musical genius was the grandson of enslaved people. The work songs they sang in the fields were brought from Africa and gradually gave birth to a new form of music called the blues. It's those blue notes in the chords that tug at the heart. Louis Armstrong's grandmother sang those songs to him when he was a boy in New Orleans. In this city, all kinds of music spilled out onto the streets. Ragtime, gospel, Dixieland. Louis and his friends performed for handouts. But at 12 years old, he got arrested, which changed the course of music history. In reform school, Louis learned to play the trumpet, which set his prodigious talent free. Before Louis, music was more predictable. But by improvising, Louis created a spontaneous sound no one had ever heard before. It was called jazz, and it still pulses through New Orleans, where Aloe's friend John Batiste grew up.
I think everything comes from Africa. And then the African stuff went to the Caribbean. And I see New Orleans as the northernmost point of the Caribbean.
As a music scholar from Juilliard, John is the best tour guide for New Orleans. He told me that jazz could only have been born in this city, where freedom of expression was welcome.
In the Southland, there's a city way down on the river where the women are very pretty and all the men deliver. They got music, it's always playing.
These wedding parades come from an African tradition. Anyone can join in.
sugar barons and the cotton kings. Rich people, poor people, all got dreams. Dreams do come true in New Orleans.
Even after the dream of freedom came true for slaves in 1865, life here was harsh. So, searching for a better life, 6 million African Americans headed north. It was one of the largest migrations in human history. When he was only 17, Lewis kissed his mother and sister goodbye and joined this wave called the Great Migration.
It means to miss New Orleans.
For the next 3 years, Lewis played and sang in a riverboat band. Now here I am, making the same journey 100 years later.
Getting stronger the longer I stay away.
Almost 1 million descendants of enslaved people came to Chicago, including Lewis. And he brought with him a radically new kind of jazz. During the Roaring '20s, drinking alcohol was outlawed. Yet Chicago still had nightclubs popping up all over town. And they all played jazz. The people of the Great Migration brought more than just music. They brought an entire way of life, including that good old Southern cooking, which is still big here in Chicago. I can't wait to meet the legendary jazz pianist Ramsey Lewis. His parents came to Chicago during the Great Migration. Well, Ramsey met me at a barbecue joint where they grill the meat over mesquite wood from way down south.
Can't they just get wood from Chicago?
Wouldn't be the same. Would not be the same.
By the time he was 30, Ramsey's jazz song, The In Crowd, had become a massive hit.
In the 1920s, inspired by jazz, America was undergoing a social revolution, especially in Chicago, where couples of every race shared the dance floor. People felt free listening to Louis Armstrong. When he jumped off the printed sheet music and played from his heart, he turned jazz into a musical conversation. Lewis didn't seek the limelight, but when he married a successful singer, she insisted that he get top billing. His celebrity was soon growing far beyond Chicago. But even with all his fame, Armstrong and his band were not allowed to stay in the same hotels where they performed. They had to stay in rundown places or even sleep in their cars. But then Lewis drew a line in the sand. If I can't stay in the hotel, I won't play in the hotel. The first black celebrity to take such a bold stand. He got his wish. With so much charisma, Lewis was adored by all kinds of audiences. The power of music could change people's hearts. He had a profound impact on the city of Chicago and ultimately on the whole nation.
Without trailblazers like Lewis, who knows where I'd be today? I'm making music on my own terms. I wrote a song about my good fortune called Wake Me Up. And that song is about to be used in a flash mob right here in Millennium Park. It'll be fun to hang with some complete strangers and see what they do with my song. They've only met each other online, but they have a plan. Practice the dance moves at home, then meet at a set time and place, and wait for a cue. Half the fun is just watching innocent bystanders.
Feeling my way through the darkness, guided by a beating heart. I can't tell where the journey will end, but I know where to start. So wake me up when it's all over, when I'm wiser and I'm older. All this time I was finding myself and I didn't know I was lost. So wake me up when it's all over, when I'm wiser and I'm older. All this time I was finding myself and I didn't know I was lost.
During the Jazz Age, the folks of Chicago could outdance anyone. Today, they've created a new dance called Chicago Footwork Style.
Wish that I could stay forever this young, not afraid to close my eyes. Life's a game made for everyone, and love is the prize. So wake me up when it's all over, when I'm wiser and I'm older. All this time I was finding myself, and I didn't know I was lost.
When we share a song we love with other people, it brings us closer. Every kind of music has that power. During the 1920s, while cities like Chicago were jumping with jazz, farm families were listening to something quite different.
Good morning, Captain.
Radio, the internet of its day, made country music wildly popular. Today, Nashville, Tennessee is the capital of country music, which grew out of traditional music from Scotland, Ireland, and Africa.
My tour manager put me together with some of Nashville's top musicians, like Willow Osborne. At 17, she's mastered the banjo, an instrument brought from Africa. At the Country Music Hall of Fame, Willow and her mom showed me Elvis's Cadillac. And you have your driver's license?
Barely, yes. I got it back in May.
All right, well, then you're old enough to drive this now. I have this idea for a song, so I've been writing this song called My Story. How can I add a little bit of harmony into this song? Being here with the ensemble, I might get a chance to work on the chorus. You do something that feels a little bit like Nashville, a little country. By bending the note, wow, the pedal steel guitar can change the pitch to create a blue note.
So
That's
like
great.
that.
The triplet was great.
This is my story. It's full of ups and downs. It's a true story. Good times and of sorrow. A brand new old story of yesterday and tomorrow. Thanks to those who laid the road before me and paved the way so I could tell.
The Fisk Jubilee singers sing with the precision of a classically trained European choir. But others in the South created a more emotive style based on African roots. Gospel.
Oh, I decree, I declare it now. This is my season every time you hear. Oh, la, 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 la. It is mine. Yeah, I'm in the best here, yeah. Man, the best. Oh, la, la, la. I'm the head. I am the head. Not the tail. Not beneath. Man, the best. La, 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 la. Abraham. Yeah. Man, the best.
Gospel was emotional church music. It inspired one skinny white teenager whose music would soon shake up the world. I'm on my way to his home in Memphis, Tennessee. In the 50s, many white folks were listening to country music, while African Americans, especially on Beale Street, were rocking out to rhythm and blues. But in 1952, that skinny white teenager turned the place upside down. When he cut his first record here at Sun Studios, he set off a musical revolution called rock and roll.
Well, it's one for the money, two for the show, three to get ready, now go, cat, go.
By combining blues, gospel, and country, Elvis Presley made it cool to break the rules, which thrilled teenagers and drove grown-ups crazy.
Rock and roll has got to go, and go it does. That's the best way I know to get rid of them.
Elvis sparked the biggest musical revolution the world has ever known. I visited his home in Graceland. Now, he bought this place when he was just 22 years old for $100,000 in cash. For a kid who grew up dirt poor, this was quite a mansion. Elvis had a genius for blending musical styles. The only singer ever to become #1 in rock, country, and gospel. And that's why I'm here. My friend Keb Mo, a blues musician, took me to the Arcade Cafe. He told me that after cutting a new record, Elvis would come here for a milkshake and always sit in his favorite booth.
I like this.
Elvis passed away too young. But his millions of fans said that the spirit of Elvis would never end. And I found out that they were right.
Oh, you in Memphis, man.
Shift to hit the second, folks, for heaven's sake.
Memphis has inspired a new form of dance, juking. As a boy, Elvis sang in church and always kept a place in his heart for gospel. Just as Louis Armstrong used music to bring people together, Elvis did the same, but with a very different style. He set the stage for the massive cultural revolution of the 1960s that swept the whole world.
There will be peace in a valley. Oh.
That's the power of music.
Each city that I went to on my tour has its own distinct sound. Like in Detroit, where the Motown sound was king, I kept hearing Stevie Wonder and Marvin Gaye. And the voice of Seattle was Jimi Hendrix and Kurt Cobain. The singer on my mind in Austin, Texas was Willie Nelson. And in Minneapolis, St. Paul, I hear Prince with his funk and soul. And Las Vegas still carries the torch for Elvis. Lots of cities have new forms of music, like Miami, the last stop on my tour, where I get to soak up all of the music of my childhood. I love it. It's one big tropical playground where the fun and the water and the music are all just part of life. Since my parents are from Panama, the music in our home was a wild blend of reggae and soca, plus salsa and cumbia and merengue from all across Central and South America. I'm here to meet a legend. She blended regional rhythms with music from her native land of Cuba. Gloria Estefan and her husband, Emilio.
You know, our parents, thinking they were going back, it was incredibly important for them to keep our culture alive. My grandmother would smuggle my mom's record collection out of Cuba one by one because she couldn't take anything with her.
And that's the struggle of immigration, so you came with nothing.
With nothing.
Gloria overcame her humble start to become America's all-time best-selling Latin singer.
Your professional opinion on how can I add a little bit of Miami flavor into this song?
We can do that.
Oh.
That we can do. Miami.
Oh, I can hear it already.
Yes.
Latined out.
Can you hear it? You can hear where you...
Oh, yeah.
Round the road so I could tell my story. All right, I get it. Feels good.
Oh,
Nice.
I'm already dancing salsa to that thing.
Come on, shake your body, baby, do that conga. No, you can't control yourself any longer. Come on, shake your body, baby, do that conga. No, you can't control yourself any longer.
No tune says Miami better than conga, the signature song from Gloria Estefan. Nearly 2 million Cubans now call Miami home, so the city now dances to a Cuban beat.
Come on, shake your body, baby, do that conga. No, you can't control yourself any longer. Feel the rhythm of
parents joined me in Little Havana. This is their music. At Ultrafest, you can feel the power of music bringing people together. Almost 200,000 young people from all over the globe gather here, united by their love of electronic music. The sense of community is intense. I grew up near Laguna Beach, California. So whenever I get a chance, I love to come home.
Every tree that ever grew knew just which way to grow. And every bird that ever flew knew just which way to go.
It always amazes me how quickly my kids are growing and all of the new things they're learning. One thing that really stuck with me from my tour is that music has a profound power. Louis Armstrong showed us that. And today, doctors are finding that music is a powerful tool to help kids with autism. As a 5-year-old, Reed Moriarty had trouble connecting with anyone. Learning to sing opened up his world. Today, when Reed sings and plays piano, he helps other kids with autism connect. Why do you like to write songs?
Because writing songs makes me feel awesome inside.
How do you think it makes everybody else feel?
I think happy.
Can you guys say, hey, hey? Hey, hey? Nice.
Words are a challenge for children with autism. They often find music easier to understand because music is processed by a different region of the brain.
Long old troublesome road, and I'm looking for somebody come and help me carry this load. Hey, hey, said I need $1, that's what I need. Hey, hey, well I need $1, that's what I need. Hey, hey.
After his tour, Aloe was invited to perform in Washington, D.C.
And I'll pay homage to another of my heroes, Louis Armstrong.
I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
I see skies of blue and clouds of white, the bright blessed day, the dark sacred night. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky,
are all also on the faces of people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. I hear babies cry. I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than I never knew. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
Centuries of emigration have given us a wonderful gift. This wild intersection of cultures sparks enormous creative energy. We push ourselves in search of that blue note that sounds just a little bit better. In his later years, Lewis was sent on goodwill missions as America's ambassador to the world. In the Congo, he was lifted onto shoulders like a king.
I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you.
Where would the world be without jazz or rock and roll? American music now belongs to everyone. It has the power to inspire dreams and change our hearts.
What a wonderful
I hear babies cry. I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than I ever knew. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Yes.
And I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
Oh, yeah.
Every tree that ever grew knew just which way to grow. And every bird that ever flew knew just which way to go. I count all of the people I call best friends on one hand. Being someone people count on, well, that's how I became a man. This is my story, the life that I have found. This is my story, it's full of ups and downs. It's a true story, good times and sorrow, a brand new old story. Yesterday and tomorrow, this is my story.
The Native Americans who first came and set eyes on these lakes and mountains encountered a vast wilderness, an entire continent that still lay wild and free. These Native Americans believed that the greatest natural wonders belong to no one. They belong to all. Over 100 years ago, these treasured places were protected for eternity, for everyone. And the national parks were born.
Conrad says, go slowly. Listen for those who came before. The first people here had no idea what they'd find. The adventure is stepping into the unknown. Conrad Anker is a world-famous climber and a national parks ambassador.
I think I got everything I need to shoot up there, Dad. Looks good.
During semester break, Conrad always takes his stepson, Max Lowe, on a climbing trip through the parks. Their family friend, Rachel Pohl, comes along.
Let's roll.
Yellowstone. The land sits over the molten fury of the largest supervolcano on Earth. Each year, over 2 million visitors are carried back in time. Heat-loving bacteria create the vibrant colors. Over half of the geysers on this planet are here. Yellowstone is a place where you can feel the beating heart of the planet and gaze into its eye. From this beating heart, great rivers flow out to all corners of the continent.
In past trips, we've rafted down these rivers, the highways of the Native American.
Hold back the river, let me look in your eyes. Hold back the river so wide. Stop for a minute and see where you hide. Hold back the river, hold back.
The Colorado River carved the Grand Canyon, digging a mile down into the earth, exposing rock layers formed 1.7 billion years ago.
Each other.
In the Great River valleys, Native Americans hunted and gathered. At Chaco Canyon in New Mexico, they built a thriving city. If you listen, you can still hear their voices on the wind.
We're heading north towards Wyoming and another Native American icon.
The Lakota Sioux revere a 1,000-foot monolith called Devil's Tower. Here, they pass down stories of powerful spirits and giant, terrifying bears. The national parks protect land and animals too. The threatened prairie dogs are safe here.
Whenever my head starts to hurt, before
before it goes from bad to feeling worse. I turn off my phone, I get down low and put my hands in the dirt. I try to stop the
Prairie dogs have a highly developed vocabulary, which includes specific warning calls for each predator. It's the females who sound the alarm.
and put my feet in the grass. I'm going back to the earth. I'm going back to the earth. I'm going back to work. I'm going back to the earth.
Flip it.
You're not helping Max.
Max and Conrad are amazing climbers.
Okay.
Get back on there.
So hard.
Come on, you gotta take that dip.
Me?
Yeah.
I'm working on it.
Oh, now you're just showing off. Come on. Fall off already, so I can try.
Max!
The Native Americans believed there's a solemn power here. They tie prayer flags on the trees.
Columns are said to be claw marks made by the giant bear. And we're trying to climb those claw marks.
The claw marks are massive crystals of rock formed in the heart of a volcano. The rest of the volcano has eroded away.
It's very slippery. It's really deceiving.
Devil's Tower sits like a lightning rod up on the Wyoming highlands. Not a good place in a storm.
Lightning! We're going down!
From Wyoming, we head northwest into Montana, my home state.
That ribbon of highway I saw above me.
Welcome to Glacier National Park.
In the skyway, yeah, and down below me, the Golden Valley, yeah. I think this land was made, and you and me.
Here too, nature can catch you off guard.
No. From California to the New York Island, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream water.
Waterton Glacier International Peace Park spans Canada and the United States and is a World Heritage Site. The team plans the rest of the summer.
Came up through Colorado, the Devil's Tower, and then we're going to go through Yellowstone to Glacier National Park, across the Great Divide, down to Redwood National Park.
Redwood National Park in California shelters the tallest trees on the planet. But these ancient survivors, some 2,000 years old, are now as vulnerable as a field of wildflowers.
That is a nice looking tree. Over here, Jim.
Some scientists devote their lives to the study and urgent protection of redwood forests. These graceful groves almost didn't survive an onslaught 150 years ago. "95% of the redwood forest was felled for lumber. In the western states, scientists who study trees understand that in order to thrive, forests, large and small, all depend on fire. Many conifers seal their cones with resin, which must burn away before the seeds can germinate. Out of the ashes springs new life. Here at Yosemite Valley, trees are born in fire. Wild nature needs protectors. 120 years ago, the fiercest of those protectors was John Muir, a poet of nature.
The sun shines not on us, but in us. The rivers flow not past, but through us. Break away once in a while and wash your spirit clean.
Muir loved Yosemite Valley, but he couldn't stop it from being destroyed by loggers, ranchers, and developers. But then his passionate articles and sketches caught the eye of a powerful man. In 1903, President Theodore Roosevelt visited Muir in Yosemite, where they camped for 3 days. The president had good reason to treasure wilderness. When Roosevelt was 25, his mother and his wife fell ill. They both died on the same day. He wrote, "The light has gone out of my life." He took his grief out into the wilderness, where he discovered nature's power to heal. He never forgot it. Their camping trip saved America's natural wonders. Muir and Roosevelt crystallized a sweeping vision for the first unified system of national parks anywhere on Earth. Slowly, the idea caught on. National Park Service lands now encompass an area 3 times the size of England. These 400 sites range from Yosemite to the volcanoes in Hawaii. Niagara Falls in the east, the Channel Islands of California, Kings Canyon, Death Valley, arguably the hottest place on Earth. From the caverns in the south to the spires of Monument Valley, Arizona. From the Grand Tetons of Wyoming to Acadia in Maine. These lands became your lands. Lake Powell, Yellowstone, Crater Lake, Oregon, the deepest lake in the nation. The National Mall in Washington, D.C., where cherry blossoms chase away the winter. New York City. Here, Teddy Roosevelt is memorialized near Central Park. And a proud lady standing in New York Harbor extends a welcome to all. Bird life thrives in Florida's Everglades, but it wasn't always so. Ladies' hats were once decorated with elaborate feathers. By 1900, plume hunters were killing over 5 million birds a year. But then, local women's clubs, in the spirit of John Muir, fought to form the Everglades National Park and end this outrage. This is once again a safe place, even for a baby Godzilla. These lands are their lands too.
Nothing better than waking up from a nap to an ice cream bar.
We're traveling across the country, from Death Valley, past the Hoover Dam and Lake Mead, and straight into Utah.
Utah has 13 national park locations, which is precisely why I choose to live here. In Bryce Canyon, rainwater seeps into the rock. The water freezes in the winter. The ice expands, shattering the rock into a fantasia of spires called hoodoos. The spires reveal layers of time stacked up in the rocks. Below the base, you're running with dinosaurs, then up through the Cenozoic to the dawn of mankind.
Get a picture up here.
Okay. I'm gonna be tall.
Yeah. Perfect. All right, let's keep on the pace.
find our way back home.
John Muir said, "Get close to nature's heart. Listen." We all get such different things out of the parks.
On their perpetual road trip, their friend Eric Porter takes them to just outside the park, where the wind has left its fingerprint on the sandstone, creating a playground for all to enjoy.
Always falling down without a place to land. Nice. Somewhere in the distance, birds are calling. Oh, it hurts so bad to let go of your hand. Wherever is your heart, I call home. Wherever is your heart, I call home. Though your feet may take you far from the unknown. Wherever is your heart, I call home. Even when you're high, you can get low. Even with your friends you love, you're still alone. We always find the darkest place to go. God forgive our minds, we were born to
Conrad is a hero to me. On one extreme climb in the Himalayas, Conrad's party was hit by a terrible avalanche. He lost his best friend, Alex Lowe.
Alex Lowe is my father, and your parents are your entire world. So my world kind of just turned off for a while. Conrad came into our lives months after because he was a close friend of our family's. And through that shared grieving, I think we kind of came together. It was nice to have that father figure back in my life. And going on these amazing adventures and going to these wild places and taking me with him has been an amazing gift.
The whole universe flying through space with other stars, all singing and shining as one, appears as an infinite storm of beauty. Here, nature may heal and give strength to body and soul.
Over the years, on these trips with Max and Conrad, I have had some unforgettable experiences. Like in Katmai National Park in Alaska, where young brown bears were learning from their mother the art of catching salmon. Or not.
In the summertime, when the weather is hot, you can stretch right up and touch the sky. When the weather's fine, we go fishing or go swimming in the sea.
For the youngsters, it can take a while.
Life we're living, yeah, that's our philosophy.
Older brothers know a few tricks. And it's frustrating. This year, the team finishes up with a winter trip over semester break. Above Wisconsin in upper Michigan is Pictured Rocks National Lakeshore.
At the edge of Lake Superior, now frozen solid, is the East Channel Lighthouse. Normally where we're skiing is open water. But we're here to climb frozen waterfalls. It's really nice having Ryan Hudson join us. Ryan climbed ice with us last year in Alaska.
Let's roll with it.
Ice climbing is very special to Conrad. It's his idea of heaven.
When we were younger, everyone was on our side. Then we grew a little and romanticized the time I saw flowers in your hair. It's a long road to wisdom, but it's a short one being ignored. Be in my eyes, be in my heart, be in my eyes, be in my heart. So now I think that I love you back, and I hope it's not too late, 'cause you're so attractive and the way you move. I won't close my eyes.
Heads up down there.
It takes a man to live, it takes a woman to make him compromise. So be in my eyes, be in my heart, be in my heart.
A storm moves in, and it turns colder. 20 degrees below zero. Conrad loves it.
It's so cold that the steel ice picks can shatter. I place ice screws to secure the rope for Rachel and the team.
In the extreme cold, with her hands above her heart, Rachel's fingers shut down.
I can't. Help.
Later, Rachel's eye for beauty catches what the others had overlooked.
Sweet.
A secret ballroom and a palace of ice.
Baby, I've been here before. I've seen this room and I've walked this floor. You know, I used to live alone before I knew you. And I've seen your flag on the marble arch. And love is not a victory march. And every breath we drew is hallelujah. Hallelujah.
John Muir got close to the heart of nature. And here, I feel it too.
Well, I rode that ribbon highway. I saw above me the endless skyway. I saw below me the golden valley. Well, this land was made for you and me. I roamed and rambled. I followed my footsteps through the sparkling sands of her diamond deserts. And all around me, a voice was calling. It said this land was made for you and me. Well, this land is your land. This land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters. Well, this land was made for you and me. Well, this land is your land. This land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters. Oh, this land was made for you and me.
It is said the national parks are America's best idea. John Muir knew it all along. He said, in God's wildness lies the hope of the world. And it all started under a big old tree with a great president, a fierce poet of nature, and a handshake.